Hello, everyone. This is Dylan with this week's patient update. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to be going through several of our patients that we currently have within our ICU and PCUs. So, anyways, let's get started with this week's patient update. First up is Great Horned Owl 1026 from Etna, Wyoming. This bird came in because of some soft tissue damage on its right wing that was related to an entanglement with barbed wire. We are currently treating that wound with some antibiotics and also having this bird on cage rest until we could eventually move them into one of our PCUs. And our next patient is Barn Owl 1031 from Monteview, Idaho. This bird came in today, which would be Halloween, which is very fitting. And this is a young individual, as you can see from those down feathers that are still present on the body. This would be a late hatch for this individual, since usually we don't see them this time of year. And currently we have that bird in a warm oxygen chamber along with some fluids to be able to keep it comfortable as it's able to grow in the rest of its adult feathers until we can better assess how it's doing and what the next steps for its care will look like. Next up is Turkey Vulture 1025 from Rock Springs, Wyoming. This bird is a hatchier and is quite young, and we believe there are potential failure to thrive, but also upon further examination, we were able to discover that this individual had a high lead level from a blood sample that we took. Its lead level was at about 60.4 micrograms per deciliter. And on x-rays that we took for this bird, we could also notice lead fragments that were within its proventriculus and also its GI tract as well. Luckily, we were able to give this bird some casting material along with some manuka honey, which can help attach to those lead fragments. And the bird casted those fragments up and luckily were expelled from the body. And due to the evacuation of the lead from that bird's proventriculus, we are seeing a decreased lead level to about 38.4 micrograms per deciliter. Our next patient is RedTailed Hawk 1019 from Wilson, Wyoming. This bird came into us because of a right metacarpal and ulna fracture, along with also a wound on its tibiotarsus that was related to a gunshot. And just a friendly reminder, it is not legal to shoot raptors, so unfortunately this would be a criminal case that we would try to pursue and find more information about. This bird is on cage rest, and in this photo you could also notice that they are in a figure 8 wrap to help stabilize those fractures of the metacarpus and ulna. Our next patient is Great Horned Owl 1016 from Driggs, Idaho. This bird came into us because of a right ulna fracture along with some hemorrhaging and other related eye trauma within its right eye. We are treating that bird for those injuries, and as you can see in that photo, they are in a wing wrap that is reinforced with duct tape. These birds can sometimes rip off these wraps while they are in human care, and this can be related to either stress or also because of uncomfortability related to the wrap. So the duct tape does help reinforce it and keeps that wrap on so that those bones that are injured can heal properly. Next up is Red-Tailed Hawk 1020 from Pocatello, Idaho. This individual came into us because of a right coracoid fracture and a clavicle fracture as well. This is related to potentially a car strike, and we are treating this bird with a few medications to deal with those fractures, and also they're on cage rest in addition to that. And our last patient for this update is Bald Eagle 721. This bird came into us from Wilson, Wyoming. They are a failure to thrive, where in the wild they weren't doing well post-fledging and actually were potentially a bird that fledged early. With this in mind, they never learned how to fly or hunt properly. Within their enclosure currently, we are testing for flights, and unfortunately, they are only capable of doing short gliding flights from one end of the enclosure to the other. With this in mind, we are worried about the prognosis of this patient if we were able to release it into the wild. With that in mind, we are planning on looking for placement for this individual within another facility as a display bird. And that's this week's patient update. Thank you so much for joining us. And here from the Teton Raptor Center, we would like to wish all of you a happy Halloween. And thank you again for joining us for this week's patient update. If you do want to keep wild birds wild, please feel free to donate and click the link below. Thanks again, and until next time.